Good day, everyone. We are the Group 3. The topic we talk about is to what degree has intergovernmental corporation to limit exchange rate volatility enabled the globalization of finance. So, I am Engine Cadet Ortega with my group mates, uh, Engine Cadet Vergara, Jan Comelo,
Present.
Engine Cadet Roma Clark Mateo,
Present.
Engine Cadet William Butantan,
Present.
Engine Cadet MADAITON Joseph,
Present.
Engine Cadet PACIFICO JETHRO,
Present.
and Engine Cadet ESCUADRO Isare,
Present Squadro.
and lastly, Engine Cadet SACOL JOBHANNE.
SACOL present.
So, next slide please. So, what is intergovernmental organization? So, an inter an intergovernmental organization is an organization composed primarily of a sovereign state or of other organization through formal treaties for handling, serving a common interest and governed by international laws. IGOs are established by treaty that acts as a charter creating the group. So intergovernmental organizations are constructed by states to facilitate cooperation. So an intergovernmental organization may be defined as an arrangement between two or more states, rather governments for achieving common goals or common like providing a service or solving a mutual problem. So example for that are the NATO, the ASEAN, the WHO, which explained later on with my group mates. So, the next presenter will be Engine Cadet Vergara. Thank you.
So the benefits when joining intergovernmental organization. So an international organization can be provide security, trade opportunities, strong relationship possibilities, and financial can give them a stronger voice in the international scheme of things. So the benefits of international governmental organization is to negotiate other some countries with other countries to solve any problem from their countries, from like using security from building good security from their country and military. And what other example is free trading for economic growth. So international organization can provide smaller states an opportunity for stronger economic power. This can also help build a relationship with larger states in which some believe can prevent war between one another. They so also the benefits of international organization through small states is they cannot be conquered by larger larger states because they've been banned or they have a relationship to each other through through intergovernmental organization. So they also give states an opportunity to be efficient. As discussed in class, we learned IO are formed for efficiency. That is why states join them. Lastly, the international organization can benefit the larger states because it shows others that they were willing to not always be there by the way on issues, but also I'll give the work to others. So one example of these smaller states have that as a benefits from has a benefits from joining intergovernmental organization is the Philippines. So next slide, Migo. So one example of that is the Philippines. So Philippines belongs to a number of international organizations, including UN. So for UN, Philippines for UN, Philippines deals with issues about peace, and because the UN deals with issues of peace and security and development and human rights. So that's the benefits for UN, your United Nations. So next is the Association of Southeast Asia, Asian Nation. So Asian to accelerate economic growth, so social progress and cultural development in the region. So that is the benefits or the purpose of ASEAN. So next is Asia Pacific Economic Corporation Forum for free trader and sustainable growth. So that's the purpose of Asia Pacific Economic Corporation. So lastly is the World Trade to ensure that trade flows smoothly. So mo-ensure siya sa trade flows smoothly sa every country. Part na ang Philippines and predictable and freely as possible. That's all for the benefits of intergovernmental organizations. So next to report is Engine Cadet Pacifico for the examples.
So, the Philippines belong to a number of international organizations, including the number one is the African Union, which is established to promote the unity, solidarity of African countries to defend the sovereignty and eradicate the colonialism. The next one is the Arab League. So the Arab League, its purpose is to close the cooperation among its members on matters of common interest, specifically in the economics, communication, and culture. Then the next one is the Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. The Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, or the APEC, is the leading forum in the Asia Pacific to facilitate trade and investment, economic and growth, and also regional cooperation. Then the fourth one is the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth of Nations was formed in 1949 to maintain an association between countries that had once been part of the British colonies. Then next is the East African Community. The mission of the community is to widen and deepen economic, political, social, and cultural integration so that it can improve the quality of life of the people in East Africa. The next one is the European Union. It aims to promote peace, it values and the well-being of its citizens. It also offers freedom, security, and justice without internal borders, while also taking appropriate measures at its external border to regulate asylum and immigration. The next one is the International Criminal Court. So the International Criminal Court investigates and where warranted tries individual charged with the gravest crimes of concern to the international community, like genocide, war crimes, crime against humanity, and the crime of aggression. Then next is the South African Development Community. The Southern African Development Community is an intergovernmental organization headquartered which its goals is to further regional socio-economic cooperation and integration as well as the politics and security cooperation among 16 countries in Southern Africa. Then we have the United Nations. The United Nations is an intergovernmental organization which aiming to maintain international peace and security to develop friendly relation among nations. Then lastly is the World Trade Organization. So the World Trade Organization or WTO is the only international organization dealing with the global rules of trade. Its function is to ensure that trade flows as smoothly, predictably, and freely as possible. So that is for my report. So next slide.
So, next to report is me. My name is Engine Cadet from MATHEW. So, what volatility is equal to swing. Volatility simply refers to the frequency and severity with which the market price of investment fluctuates. The more the market swings, the more volatile it's seen as being. So some of the developments would appear to have exacerbated fluctuation in exchange rate. The liberalization of capital flows in the last 2 decades and the enormous increase in the scale of the cross-border financial transaction have increased exchange rate movements. Currency crises in emerging market economies are special example of high exchange rate volatility. So as growing fraction of international transaction is undertaken by may have by may have declining impact on the world trade, as these different developments in the world economy may have opposing effects in altering the impact of exchange rate fluctuation on trade over the last 2 decades. It is not clear what the net effect is without undertaking a careful empirical study. So, for example, the inflation of the gasoline all over the Asia, especially here in the Philippines, raises to 12 pesos per liter. So while also the exchange rate of the foreign money to the Philippine peso is also raised from $1 is equal to 50 pesos to $1 is equal to 52 pesos, meaning higher volatility corresponds to a higher probability of a declining market, while lower volatility corresponds to a high probability of a rising market. The impact of exchange rate on the economy, changes in the exchange rate tend to directly affect domestic prices of imported goods and services. A stronger peso lowers the peso prices of imported goods as well as import intensive service such as transport, thereby lowering the rate of inflation. So another example is COVID-19 pandemic. According to KoreanScience.com, the novel coronavirus of COVID-19, which Chinese authorities first reported to the World Health Organization on December 31, 2019, has spread globally. The economic disruption caused by the outbreak of COVID-19 is hurting the economies, regardless of income level. The increased uncertainty is being reflected in the lower valuations and increased volatility in the financial markets, affecting business investment. Financial markets, just like household consumption and the international trade. So, moreover, the spread of COVID-19 to the provinces is expected to have a much larger impact to the Philippine economy. So, why is it that volatility is important? Volatility is important because it is the rate at which the price of a stock increases or decreases over a particular period. Higher stock price volatility often means higher risk and helps an investor to estimate the fluctuation that may have in the future. So what causes volatility? So the causes of volatility was the stock market volatility is a large caused by uncertainty, which can be influenced by interest rate tax changes, inflation rates, and other monetary policies, but it is also affected by industry changes and national and global events. So that's all my report.
So next to present is Engine Cadet Butantan.
Thank you, Engine Cadet Vergara. So, what is exchange rate? So, the exchange rate is the amount that one currency is worth when compared to another currency. In other words, the exchange rate tells you the number of units of one currency that you will receive for 1 unit of another currency. For example, how many American dollars you will get for every British pound that you exchange. So that is exchange rate. So exchange rate that indirectly impact many different areas of your day-to-day life, from the cost of your groceries to fuel, the job, opportunities, and the interest rate on your loans. So you will you will wonder why it will affect the groceries and the fuel and the job and the interest rate on your loans, because when the currency is went up, then there is one reason of it, because our economy is not doing well. So the American dollar will rise up, just like what happens now when the Russia and Ukraine are fighting. The currency of the dollar is affected, because the one of the biggest supplier of fuel is the Russia. So it means the almost all around the world is affected by it, and almost almost all country in the whole world, their currency is went down because of the situation of the Russia and Ukraine. And what are the impacts that account what is the reason why the currency of a country will rise up? So there is a reason. There are four reasons. First is the interest rate. Second, the inflation. Third, economic growth. And the fourth is current account balances. So the exchange rate affect our lives or not? The answer is yes. Because when the current went up, there is many consequences of it. But I'll just give one. When the currency went up, the groceries, the food, and also the fuel will go up. It means we will gasto we will expense more than yesterday because of the currency. So in 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 our lives, when the currency went up, it just means that our economy is not doing well. So therefore, the foods and the goods and the services in the country will also up their prices. But if the currency will go down, it means our economy is doing great. And that's all. Thank you.
So next to present is Engine Cadet SACOL for the advantages of fixed exchange rate.
Thank you, Engine Cadet Poy Vergara. So I will discuss about the advantage of the fixed exchange rate. First is certainly with the fixed exchange rates, firm will always know the exchange rate, and this makes trade and investments less risky. So, furthermore, a fixed exchange rate provides greater certainty and encourages firms to invest. So, keep inflation low. Governments who allow their exchange rates to devalue may cause inflation pressure to occur. So, next is the absence of speculation. With a fixed exchange rate, there will be no speculation if people believe that the rate will stay fixed with no revolution or devolution. So, revolution means and speculation means adjustment of the value of a currency in relation to other currencies. And next is constraint on government policy. If the exchange rate is fixed, then the government may be unable to pursue extreme or irresponsible macroeconomic policies, as this would cause a run of the foreign exchanges reserves, and this would be unstable in the medium term. Macroeconomic policies will aims to provide a stable economic environment that is conducive to fostering strong and sustainable economic growth. So it will be good for the people that have the fixed advantage of fixed exchange rates. Thank you.
So next to present is disadvantage for Engine Cadet Squadro.
Okay,
Next
next
slide.
slides, please. Thank you, Engine Cadet. Vergara. So these are the following disadvantages of the fixed exchange rates. So first, the economy may be unable to respond to shocks or fixed exchange. So it means that there are maybe no mechanism or for the government to respond rapidly to balance of payments crisis. And the next will be the problem with reverses. Reverses. This will be fixed exchange rate systems required large foreign exchange reserves. There can be international liquidity problems as a result. So, and the next is the speculation. Uh, if a foreign exchange market believes that there are maybe re-evaluation or devaluation, then there may be a run of speculation. So, and it is be fighting this. This will be because that the government significantly in terms for their foreign exchange reserves. Reserves. And also for the disadvantage of exchange rates is the one factor also is the deflation. So the deflation is if the country with if the countries with a balance of payments deficits deflate their economics to try to correct the deficits, this will be reduce the surpluses of other countries as well as the deflating their own economies to restore their surpluses. And this will be give the system a deflationary bias. And the next disadvantage is the uh, policy conflicts. So this is an exchange rate that maybe not be compatible with another economic targets for growth, inflation, and employment, and this may be cause conflicts of policies. And this may be especially true with the exchange rate is fixed at level. This is either too high or too low. And next slide, please. Okay.
So, thank you, Engine Cadet Escuadro and Engine Cadet SACOL. So, to what degree has intergovernmental cooperation to limit exchange rate volatility enabled the globalization of finance? So, during the past half century, states have established a large number of international trade institutions, both multilateral and regional in scope. They have agreement to liberalize and increase the flow of overseas commerce. World Trade Organization, WTO, and preferential trading arrangements, so PTAs, is an intergovernmental cooperation whose regime significantly reduce export volatility because market actors prefer price stability. Trade institutions increase the volume of foreign commerce by reducing trade variability. So, example, what happened right now in Russia and Ukraine. So, there is a highly high increase of fuel price, and these organizations control the price, so that the other company will not increase their price very high and abuse the lack of lack of lack of um, source. So if there's a lack of source, so and then high demand, so therefore there is a high price. So to avoid that, there these organizations are responsible for having a price increase in every specific country. So example, right now, tomorrow, 15, so there will be a price increase of fuel. up to 12 pesos. So it's because of these organizations, they come up with that price so that they can control the the price and to avoid the export volatility. So thank you.
So that's all for the report. Thank you, guys.